I stood in the hallway of the women's clinic, heart dead silent in my chest, watching through a crack in the half-open door. Her head was on his shoulder, my wife, Madison. She was whispering, "We'll figure this out," her hand gently wrapped around his like they were starring in some sick romantic drama. And him? Some tanned, smug piece of muscle named Travis. Tight polo, Rolex watch, probably no brain under that perfect fade. He didn't even look nervous. Like he belonged there. Like he was the man in her life. My best friend, Dr. Nolan Carter, called me 2 hours earlier. "Eli, I didn't know how to tell you this, but Madison was in my clinic today. With another guy. She's pregnant, and, well, they were here for an abortion." I thought he was joking. Or mistaken. Or that maybe it was some ridiculous setup. Madison? My wife? We'd been through thick and thin. Sure, the last couple months she'd been cold, always on her phone, claiming work was overwhelming. But abortion? Another man? So I drove there. I told Nolan not to say a word, just let me see for myself. And there she was, her head on his shoulder. Like I never existed. I didn't scream. I didn't barge in. I didn't even blink. I just took out my phone and recorded it. Every second. Madison whispering. Him brushing her back with his hand. The nurse handing her a clipboard. She didn't flinch. Didn't act guilty. Just acted like this was her new normal. You think something like that would break a man. It didn't. It remade me. I walked out, drove home in complete silence, and packed every bag I owned. I took down the wedding photos. I emptied the drawers. I disconnected the Wi-Fi, turned off the fridge, left the power bill unpaid on purpose. On the living room wall-mounted TV, I cued the recording to autoplay. Looping. Right there. Volume up. Then I placed a handwritten note on the kitchen counter. For words. Figure this out too. And I left. She came home around 10:47 p.m. I watched through the doorbell cam from a hotel 2 blocks away. Watched her stop in the doorway, bags in hand, probably expecting dinner or a fight or a cold shoulder. Instead, she saw emptiness. In the video, she dropped her purse. It hit the floor like a gunshot. I watched her freeze as the footage played. Watched her walk to the TV and hit pause like that would change the truth. Like she could delete what she'd done by stopping the video. 10 minutes later, she called. I didn't answer. 10 minutes after that, texts started pouring in. "Eli, can we talk? It's not what it looks like. I need to explain. You're being dramatic. Please come home. Please." I didn't respond. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling fan, counting every turn. This wasn't heartbreak. This was surgical clarity. My wife wasn't some confused, lost woman. She was a calculating, manipulative liar who could curl up against another man, her lover, in a public clinic like she didn't have a ring on her finger. Like I didn't matter. And I had just unlocked the first chapter of her deception. But I wasn't prepared for what came next. Because Madison didn't just lie. She fought back. And that night was only the beginning. She showed up the next morning. I was sitting in the parking lot of the gym, sipping burnt hotel coffee, trying to decide if I even felt anger anymore or just vacuum. My phone buzzed. Video notification from the doorbell cam. There she was. Black hoodie. No makeup. Hair tied up like she hadn't slept all night. She stood on the porch for 5 minutes before knocking. Then she just sat on the steps. Like she was waiting for a bus that would never come. I didn't move. She texted again. "Where are you? Can we please talk? I don't want this to end like this." End? She made it in the moment she whispered, "We'll figure this out," to another man with my child inside her. That was the finish line. She crossed it with a damn smile. I drove off. By the time I got back to the hotel, she had sent a 6-paragraph message about being lost, feeling alone in our marriage, and needing comfort. Comfort? That's what she called it? Comfort? The dude was rubbing her back while she signed away a life they created together in secret and that she destroyed without blinking, all while pretending to be mine. Later that evening, Nolan called again. He sounded more broken than I was. "I'm sorry, man. I didn't want to be the one to tell you. But when I saw her, I just knew you needed to know. You did the right thing," I told him. He was quiet for a second. Then he asked, "What are you going to do now?" I didn't know. Divorce was already in motion. But this wasn't about paperwork anymore. This was about truth. About finally seeing her without the mask. That night, she snuck into my hotel. I had forgotten she still had the spare key to my car, and she must have guessed where I was staying. I heard the knock at the door, didn't answer. Then I heard the card slide into the door lock. She walked in like she still had a right. "Eli." She looked like hell. Puffy eyes, lips cracked. Hoodie swallowed her figure like she wanted to disappear. I didn't say a word. I messed up, she whispered, stepping closer. I didn't mean for this to happen. I laughed. It came out hollow and sharp, like glass breaking. You didn't mean to screw some gym trainer raw and end up pregnant? She flinched. It wasn't like that. Oh, right. I forgot. It was for comfort. She didn't cry. That's what pissed me off the most. She should have cried. Instead, she crossed her arms and looked at me like I was being unreasonable. You haven't been present for months. Always at work. Always distant. You pushed me away. I stood. You had a mouth. You could have told me. You could have screamed, argued, thrown a damn plate. But instead, you spread your legs for a discount Jason Momoa and smiled like he was your rescue plan. That finally cracked her. Her lip trembled. Don't act like you were some saint, Eli. You've been cold. Boring. Predictable. Predictable. That word burned. I was loyal, I said quietly. That's what predictable meant to me. Silence. Then she dropped the nuclear excuse. I didn't know if the baby was his. Or yours. I felt everything stop. My lungs forgot how to work. My fists curled without my permission. You think that makes it better? I whispered. You think that makes you look less like a monster? I didn't mean to hurt you. She kept saying that, like she thought she could undo it by repeating it enough times. I looked her dead in the eyes. You didn't hurt me. You freed me. She turned toward the door slowly, like it finally sank in. Like she knew I wasn't bluffing. She opened her mouth to say something else, but I slammed the door shut behind her before she could. I didn't need to hear another word. She left, and the moment that door clicked, it was like oxygen flooded my lungs again. But she wasn't done with me yet. Not even close. 3 days passed. 3 blissful days without seeing her face, hearing her fake apologies, or smelling that vanilla perfume she used to drown herself in before pretending she was working late. I was starting to breathe again, eating real food, sleeping. Nolan and I even hit the shooting range just to blow off steam. I hadn't laughed in weeks, but something about watching my best friend miss every target like a blindfolded rookie brought a real smile back. Then she showed up at my job. Not a text. Not a call. No warning. She walked straight through the front doors like she owned the place, ignoring the receptionist, storming past security like a woman on a mission. Every eye in the office turned toward the glass hallway. I looked up from my desk, and there she was, tight black dress, red lips, crocodile tears ready. Eli, she said loud enough for everyone to hear. I just want to talk. I stepped out of my office, voice low. You need to leave. She shook her head. Not until you listen. I already did. You're on video, remember? She dropped her voice. You think you're the only one hurting? A laugh escaped my throat, bitter and sharp. Are you seriously playing the victim? In my building. She took a step closer, ignoring how every employee nearby was trying not to stare. I ended it with him. I told Travis it was a mistake. He doesn't mean anything. I stared at her. He meant enough to get you pregnant. She blinked, jaw clenched, like she wanted to scream, but realized she had no weapons left to throw. I didn't know how to fix things with you. You don't fix betrayal, I said. You bury it. Security arrived behind her. Sir. I nodded. Escort her out. As they led her away, she turned, eyes wild. This isn't over, Eli. You're not done with me. The office was silent for an hour after that. No one made eye contact. I locked myself in my office and stared at my screen, not seeing a single number or chart. All I saw was her walking out of the clinic with that guy, like they were about to start a new life together. Like I had never existed. That night, she left a letter at my hotel. It was folded neatly under the door, thick paper, written in her handwriting. She always had nice penmanship, clean, controlled, like her lies. I read it twice. She blamed her parents, her childhood, the pressure of our marriage. She blamed the city, her job, even my dog for making her feel unappreciated. Not once did she say the word sorry, but she did say she still loved me, and that she was willing to prove it. I ripped it up. That same night, Nolan called again. She's trying to file a complaint against me, he said, voice tense. Claims I violated her privacy by telling you. She's reaching, I said. She's drowning and clawing at anything she can. You need to be careful, man. This woman's unhinged. He wasn't wrong. The next day, she messaged my mom. Told her I was cheating on her. That I had a secret Tinder account. That I was the one who pushed her away. I called my mother that evening. She didn't believe a word of it, but she sounded exhausted. Eli, she said, this girl, she's poison. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. I know. I just didn't want to admit it. And the worst part? There was still a part of me, small, broken, pathetic, that missed her. Not the real her. Not the woman who lied and cheated and played me like a fool. But the idea of her. The version I thought I had. The fantasy I built brick by brick with every anniversary, every kiss, every night I thought she was mine. That part needed to die. And fast. Because Madison wasn't just a liar. She was a storm. And I was done standing in the rain. A week later, I found out she was pregnant again. Except this time, it wasn't mine. Travis had apparently dumped her, moved 2 states over, deleted his socials, changed his number. And now, with no one left to cling to, Madison started showing up everywhere. My gym, my barber, even my favorite diner. She didn't talk. She just stared, like I was supposed to look at her belly and feel guilt. She must have thought the baby was her golden ticket back into my life. That maybe I'd forget everything. The betrayal, the whispers, the lie at the clinic, the fact that she rested her head on another man while erasing what could have been ours. That Saturday night, I caught her sitting on the curb outside my hotel, fake tears smeared down her cheeks like melted mascara. She stood up as I approached. I don't have anyone, she said, wrapping her arms around herself. He left. My parents won't talk to me. Everyone thinks I'm a whore. I stared at her belly. You still planning to erase this one too? She slapped me. It didn't hurt. You're cruel, she whispered. No, I said. I'm finally honest. She took a step back, eyes wide like I just kicked a puppy. But I didn't flinch. I didn't touch her. I just walked past her, through the hotel doors, and left her out there. Because I finally understood something. Her tears were just strategy. Tools. Like her smile. Like her moans. Like every time she ever said, I love you, while texting someone else under the covers. The next morning, the front desk handed me a manila envelope. It was from her. Inside were ultrasound photos. And a note. You don't have to forgive me. But please, don't let our child grow up thinking you didn't care. I nearly choked. Our child? Was she serious? I called Nolan. Told him everything. He sighed like he had aged 10 years in a month. You need to demand a paternity test, he said, before you fall for any more of her games. She refused at first. Said it was insulting. That I should know in my heart. I laughed in her face. Your heart changes hands more than your panties. She stormed out, of course. Left a dramatic voicemail later about how I was heartless and how she never felt so ashamed. Right. Like she hadn't been screwing around behind my back for 6 months and using her stomach like an emotional leash. Still, I filed the paperwork. And while we waited, she started telling people I abandoned her. That I was abusive. That I pressured her into things. Her sister sent me a text. I'm not taking sides, but maybe if you just talked. I blocked her. And every other mutual friend who suddenly had opinions about a situation they knew nothing about. Meanwhile, I kept working. Kept training. Kept showing up for myself, day by damn day. But the truth? I was exhausted. Anger takes fuel. So does healing. And being wrapped in this endless circus of guilt, games, manipulation, it was draining me. Some nights, I'd wake up in cold sweat, still hearing her voice in my head. Whispering to him. Telling him they'd figure it out. The test results came back 10 days later. Not mine. I stared at the page in silence for 15 minutes. Not mine. I should have felt relief. Should have punched the air. Should have laughed like a man reborn. Instead, I sat on the edge of the bed and just felt still. Because it wasn't just a child that died that day. It was the last piece of the lie I had been clinging to. There was no our. There was no us. There was just me. And the ruins of who I used to be. She didn't take the results well. In fact, when I sent her the copy of the paternity report, highlighted in yellow, just to make sure she didn't miss it, she lost it. I expected tears. Maybe silence. Maybe even some desperate half-apology. What I got was a 3 a.m. voicemail that started with her screaming and ended with a crash. Something broke in her apartment. A vase maybe. Or her new illusion of control. You think you're so ing righteous, Eli? She hissed in the recording. You think just because you caught me once, you know everything. You don't know what it's like being with a man who makes you feel invisible. Who doesn't even touch you anymore. Invisible? I played it twice, just to make sure I heard her right. She cheated. Lied. Slept around. Ended a pregnancy. Got pregnant again. Made a public mess of my life. And I made her feel invisible? The next day, I blocked her number. But blocking her didn't stop the fallout. She showed up at my brother's house. Told him she needed a place to think. My brother, bless his naive heart, let her in. Said she looked like she hadn't eaten in days. That's what she does, uses sympathy as a weapon. Wraps herself in tragedy like a warm blanket until someone else picks up the pieces. I drove there the minute he told me. She was sitting at his kitchen table, sipping tea like she lived there. Eli, she smiled like she hadn't just nuked our marriage from orbit. I was hoping we could talk. I stayed by the doorway. You have 3 minutes, I said. Then I call the cops. She sighed, as if I was the one being unreasonable. I've been thinking, she said slowly, about everything. And I realize now, I was scared. You were always so strong, so focused. I didn't know how to ask for help. Lying was easier? She looked down, then up, those big manipulative eyes trying to do their trick. I know I was selfish. But Eli, I don't want to raise a child alone. You're not, I said. Because I'm not the father. She flinched. Biology doesn't mean love. I couldn't believe she said that with a straight face. Then maybe Travis can love him. Or whatever guy you find next. Her eyes narrowed. You really want to be this cold? You set the temperature. And then she played the last card she had. I still love you. I should have laughed. But instead, I looked her dead in the eyes and said, no, you don't. You love control. You love knowing that someone will always pick up the pieces. That someone will be there when your fantasy burns down. She opened her mouth, but I kept going. You know what love is, Madison? It's staying when you're bored. It's fighting through the days when your partner's not perfect. It's choosing the same damn person, even when you could run. But you? You ran the second someone gave you attention. I stepped forward, just enough to make her shift in her seat. I was invisible to you the day you walked into that clinic and held his hand. The day you whispered to him. The day you erased a child that might have been mine without even breathing a word. So don't come to me now, belly full of lies, talking about love. Silence. Even my brother didn't speak. She left that night. Didn't slam the door. Didn't cry. Didn't say goodbye. Just left. And for the first time since this whole thing began, I felt peace. Not joy. Not triumph. Just silence. And it felt holy. I thought that was the end. It should have been. But Madison wasn't done twisting the knife. A week after she disappeared from my brother's place, I got served. She filed a petition for spousal support. Not just any support, long-term, high-dollar support. Claimed she sacrificed her career to build our home, that I was the primary earner, and that the stress of our failed marriage forced her into emotional instability that made her unable to work. I stared at the paperwork like it was a prank. She nuked our marriage, blew through every boundary of betrayal, and now she wanted me to fund her life while she played the victim in court? Nolan came over that night with a bottle of whiskey and a laugh so dry it could have cut glass. She's really going for it, huh? I handed him the paperwork. He scanned it and shook his head. She's weaponizing the law now. Let her, I said. I've got receipts. Videos. Her voicemail. Witnesses. Even you, Doc. I hired a lawyer the next day. One of those ruthless types who wore dark suits and had a voice like he could make grown men confess crimes they didn't commit. He read through the file, raised an eyebrow, and said, "This is going to be fun." The court date was set for 3 weeks out. And in that time, Madison began her next campaign, character assassination. She went online, wrote long-winded posts on Facebook about how she was abandoned while pregnant, how she tried everything to save the marriage, and how some men just don't want to be fathers. The comments were full of sympathy, all from women who didn't know the real story. Women who saw a sobbing pregnant woman and immediately crowned her a hero. But she made one mistake. She tagged me. She thought I'd lash out, respond publicly, get emotional. I didn't. Instead, I uploaded a video. Not the clinic one. I wasn't going to publicly humiliate myself or her. But a quiet, steady statement. One take. No edits. Just me, sitting in my living room. I said, "You all know Madison. You've read her words. But you don't know the truth. And I won't give you the full story here, because dignity still means something to me. I'll only say this. Truth doesn't need drama. And if you know me, really know me, you know I don't walk away from love without a reason. But betrayal? That's not love. That's war disguised as a hug. Thank you." I posted it, then turned off my phone. When I checked it 2 days later, the video had 1 million views. And the comments? They weren't as kind to her anymore. Turns out, people can smell fake, even under layers of perfume and crocodile tears. The night before our court appearance, she called me again. Blocked number. I picked up by instinct. "You really want to do this?" she asked, voice low. It's already done, I replied. I could lose everything, she whispered. So did I. Silence. Then she asked the only question that truly stunned me. Did you ever love me? I paused, then said the most honest thing I'd spoken in months. I loved who I thought you were. But that woman never existed. She didn't reply, just hung up. And when the call ended, so did everything else. Court day came like a funeral in a thunderstorm, tense, quiet, and soaked in bitterness. She arrived in a light gray dress, minimal makeup, playing the role of the solemn, fragile mother-to-be. Her lawyer stood next to her like a human shield, smug and ready to paint me as the heartless husband who emotionally abandoned his wife in her most vulnerable moment. I didn't look at her once. Just sat next to my lawyer, hands folded, eyes forward, like I wasn't inches away from the woman who shattered me piece by piece. The judge was a woman in her 50s. Calm eyes. No time for theatrics. She asked for opening statements. Madison's attorney went first. He told a tale so well-rehearsed it could have won awards. He painted me as cold, emotionally distant, a man focused entirely on work and status while neglecting the emotional well-being of his wife. Then Madison took the stand. She cried on cue, talked about the mental toll of our marriage, claimed I withdrew from intimacy, that I made her feel like a stranger in her own home, that I shamed her when she begged for attention. She never mentioned Travis, never mentioned the clinic. Not a single word about the pregnancy that wasn't mine. Just pure fiction, wrapped in trembling hands and practiced sobs. My lawyer leaned toward me and whispered, "Relax. This isn't her win." Then it was our turn. We didn't start with arguments. We started with evidence. The video Nolan recorded at the clinic. The screenshots of her messages with Travis. The time-stamped receipts of her hotel rendezvous when she claimed to be working overtime. The paternity test. The voicemail, unedited, where she blamed me, insulted me, and finally admitted she couldn't stand feeling bored. Her hands trembled as it all played on the screen. For a moment, I thought she might break. But she didn't. She stared at the floor like none of it was real. Like the courtroom wasn't real. Like she could wake up tomorrow and rewrite the ending again. When I took the stand, I didn't cry. I didn't get angry. I told the truth. About the slow decline. The suspicion. The heartbreak of watching a woman I once adored turn into someone I didn't recognize. About finding out through my best friend, who risked his entire career to tell me what she tried to bury. I didn't paint myself as perfect. I admitted to long work nights, stress, distance. But I reminded the court, working hard to build a future isn't abandonment. Betrayal is. By the time the judge gave her ruling, the room was so still you could hear pins clicking and hearts deflating. Spousal support denied, she said flatly. Based on the overwhelming evidence of infidelity, dishonesty, and manipulative behavior, this court finds no grounds for financial dependency. Divorce finalized. Case closed. Madison didn't look at me once. Her lawyer gathered her things while she sat frozen, face pale, lips tight. The performance was over. The audience was gone. And there were no more scenes left to play. As I walked out of the courtroom, Nolan was waiting in the hallway. "You done?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Done." He handed me a small black envelope. "Last thing," he said. "Clinic just mailed this. Figured you should see it." Inside was a copy of the discharge form from Madison's first visit. The abortion. She'd signed it under a fake last name, his last name. Travis. Not mine. Even then, she had already decided whose life she wanted to live. Whose name to wear. Whose future to fake. I folded the paper slowly, looked out the window at the cars passing by, people moving on, living ordinary lives untouched by this kind of madness. And I let out the deepest breath I'd held in years. It was over. It's been 6 months. The silence in my apartment is no longer empty, it's peaceful. The drawers don't slam anymore. The perfume doesn't linger in the hallway, and the bed feels like mine again. I bought new sheets. Dark blue. No floral prints. No compromise. Sometimes I still get those phantom echoes, her laugh from the kitchen, her voice from the bathroom mirror, but they fade quicker now. Less haunting. More like a reminder of how far I've come. Madison's been quiet, at least publicly. I heard from a mutual friend that she moved back in with her mother. The baby's due soon. No word on who's stepping up to be the father. Travis is still missing, probably ran as far as he could once the drama hit. Can't blame him. She sent one final message a month ago. Just a picture. A black and white ultrasound. No text. No explanation. Just that image. I stared at it for a long time. And then I deleted it. Not because I didn't feel something, God knows I did, But because it wasn't mine, none of it ever was. The promises, the smiles, the future I built in my head. All of it was an illusion she let me hold on to just long enough to crush me when it served her. But I'm not bitter anymore. That's the thing they don't tell you about betrayal. It hurts, yeah, but it also frees you. When someone shows you who they really are, you stop wasting time loving the version you made up. You stop fighting for ghosts. Now I wake up early. I go to the gym. I don't check my phone in a panic. I don't wait for lies. I've started seeing someone new. Her name's Leah. She doesn't flinch when I talk about the past. She doesn't rush me. She just listens. And that's more than I got in the last 2 years of my marriage. Sometimes I still hear Madison's voice in my head, the way she said, "We'll figure this out" at that clinic. But now, when I think about that moment, I smile. Because I did figure it out. And I left. And when she walked into that house and saw the walls stripped bare, the video playing on a loop, and my note on the table that said, "Figure this out too," that was the day I took my life back. So if you're reading this, and you're where I was, trust your gut. Look closer. And when the truth hits you like a truck, don't beg, don't bargain, don't wait. Walk away. There's peace on the other side of pain. And silence, when earned, is the loudest freedom you'll ever know.